Right, guys, some breaking news on Lionel Messi. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I'll read out the quote from Galtier, the PSG manager, who has confirmed that Lionel Messi will leave PSG at the end of this week after that final game. Galtier said, "I had a privilege of coaching the best player in the history of football. It will be Leo's last match at Parc des Princes against Clermont." Not surprised, Nabe, but I guess this kind of allows us to fully start in terms of thinking about the next move for Lionel Messi. First of all, how do you feel about his time at PSG? I mean, he didn't really want to go there, but he was there. Will his time there be seen as a success, a failure, somewhere in between? What do you think?
You'd imagine they signed the Champions League. And also because there was only one place he could really go outside of Barcelona. So I think he might look back and say, I won the World Cup while I was at PSG. I don't know if players see the two together. Maybe when he's at Barca, he's maxing himself out and couldn't do that. Whereas at PSG, he sort of took his foot off the gas. Yeah. And then when he went to the World Cup, he was in top shape, came back, foot off the gas again. Maybe you can't do that when you're at Barca. So maybe he thinks, I had a good time there. I think that's probably how he sees it. Although towards the end, there's been fans have booed him at times, which I think has been unacceptable. But that's PSG fans for you. They want success and they want to win absolutely everything. In terms of trophies, he will have wanted to win the Champions League. There's no doubt about that. And he hasn't done that. So in that sense, it's probably potentially a failed stint.
So in terms of the runners and riders for Lionel Messi next season, Barcelona is an obvious one. Inter Miami is an interesting one as well. There's some talk about possibly going to Inter Miami, then being loaned to Barcelona so that Barcelona could get around the money of it. Guillaume Balaguer, who is the biographer of Lionel Messi, he said that doesn't look like it would happen. And then, of course, Saudi Arabia as well. When I have looked at the sort of the betting for it, it doesn't go Al Hilal. It goes any Saudi Arabian team, which I find hilarious. But we were chatting just before we started filming here. You know, if you think back to sort of China and the money that they spent, when you think Benzema, Ronaldo, of course, is already there, and Lionel Messi looking quite strongly like he will go there, it's basically about money or the romance of Barcelona. How do you feel about that? Is it one where Saudi Arabia, for them to get the eyeballs of the world, it's not just about Lionel Messi, or more importantly, not just about Ronaldo, it's actually about numerous stars coming through the door? And do you see that the money being enough of a grab for Lionel Messi to go there?
I think you're right in terms of they obviously want more players coming through the door to make this Saudi league more attractive. We were talking before, weren't we, about when Ronaldo joined, how many eyeballs were watching those first few games that he was at Al Nassr. But if I'm Messi, I would rather have a romantic reunion with the club that I love. I mean, he's got more money than you could ever dream of having in a lifetime.
You can never have enough.
You can have enough. You know, let's say you were Messi, for example, but
imagine that.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Huh?
Your affiliation is obviously to Liverpool. So let's say you had the chance to go to Saudi, or you could go back and play for the club that you love. What would you do?
In all fairness, the way he left Barca, I think that was like a really nice cut-off point. Like, obviously, he didn't want to leave and the club didn't want him to go, but there was tears, etc., etc. Can't reverse that. It's like going back and watching Dark Knight in a different order. Like, why would you do that?
Well, yeah, in terms of going back, there's two things to sort of worry about in terms of if he was to go back to Barcelona. One is, can you deliver like you did before? And then secondly, can the team deliver like they did before? What would be your answer to those two questions when it comes to Lionel Messi? Because that's the danger going back. I think the other side of it is you go, where's the sort of, professional desire to play at the highest level for as long as possible? Which to be honest, I get that. And again, in terms of when we always talk about Ronaldo and Messi, which is very distant now, although it wasn't before the World Cup, I think it becomes even more distant if he does go back to Barcelona. So the sort of PR play is Barcelona, but in reality, is it a dangerous move for? Yeah.
He's 36 in 23 days. Like, I get the professional aspect, but then my angle on it is he's done his bit at Barca. He won absolutely everything. He's tried his hand in Paris. He's won the World Cup, and I think for him as a player, he's gone, I've completed the game by winning the World Cup. Do I now need to go back to Barca, who've just won the league, and under Xavi seem to have something going their way? I'm just going there for basically vibes. That's why we're backing it. We love the vibes and the narrative.
Yeah,
but from
the romance of it.
But from a footballing perspective, does Messi even fit in this new Barca team?
I think he does. I think from a football perspective, if he wants to continue at the highest level, I think that is probably the only team that really works because of the possession style that Xavi has there. They will have the ball for 70% of the time. They conceded so few goals this year, sort of mainly down to the fact that they had the ball all the time and had that control. That allows him to go on his little walks, which we all love to watch. That allows him to sort of do those reconnaissance missions before getting the ball and making the difference. So I think I get it. It does all come back to him in terms of like what's in his stomach. Has he got the sort of stomach for the fight to go again? Because I think if he goes back, there's going to have to be some wiggle room in terms of Barcelona and their squad. Some players might need to be sold to bring him in, and then you're putting quite a lot of pressure on. I mean, someone who could deal with pressure, but can his body deal with the pressure? Can his body deal with playing as many games? And like you said, in terms of leaving Barcelona and going to PSG, for him, weirdly, it was successful because I think you're right. I think he was in a really good frame of mind and physically probably fresher than he would be if he'd been at Barcelona. So if he goes back to Barcelona, can he still do it physically for them? I think it is the best option for him personally if he wants to have one final go. It's a good cash grab, isn't it?
It's a great cash grab. I just feel that if you choose to go to Saudi, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Saudi league or to Ronaldo, but if you go to Saudi, then you are essentially saying, well, my time at the top table is done. And that's the same for me if you go to China, America. You know what happens when you start going to those type of leagues. You don't feel you can compete at the top table. So I get it financially, but this is not someone who's, on a regular salary. This is someone that has earned millions and millions and millions of pounds just from football, not even the endorsements. He doesn't need the money. So if you still want to be at the top table, for me, Barcelona is the only option. Whether or not you have a bit part role and you're not the main focus in the centre, that's a different thing. They're coming to the end of his career now. And having someone like that in the Barca team with young players around, that could be amazing for Barcelona.
Yeah. Is he even at the top table anymore?
Well, I think his numbers are still pretty strong.
Subtract the World Cup this year where he was the best player in the world for them 4 weeks. The rest of the season he hasn't been. And then you could go, well, he's not going to be on the top table anyway next season.
I think, obviously, for him to do what he wants to do now, at his age, the team has to be built around him. That's what we saw with Argentina. So he needs that. And for him to have that, I don't think he's going to get it at PSG anymore. Barcelona, I think he could get that. One final thing about the Barcelona thing is lifestyle. That is his home.
True. So
it would be, from that point of view, for his family, I think that would suit him as well. But it's literally, obviously, down to him.
I'd like to.
What will happen?
I'd like to throw Man City in the hat. Pep Guardiola.
If
we're talking about narratives and vibes, if we really want a narrative,
that would be a good narrative.
Messi to Man City.
Let me just check his pressing numbers. I just no.
Don't know if he works in the City side.
No, I think that time has gone. I think he'll have to be with a team that keeps the ball as much as Barcelona do. Forget what you would like. How does this end? Where do you think he'll go?
I think he's going Saudi. That type of money is unrejectable. What's been talked about, don't know the numbers for sure, but we're in the 200, 300 millions a year. That's yes, you have money, but come on, man.
That's
in our world.
That's the great grandkids sorted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has everyone got a price? What do you think?
I think everyone does have a price, but I'm romantic. I'd go back to Barca and have vibes. I like vibes.
I like money.
He's still going to get money at Barca. He's not going to be poor at Barca.
I think they still need to be able to tell La Liga, give them a plan that's going to totally work for this sale. So for me, I think he ends up in Saudi Arabia as well. Guys, what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. How does this one end?
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.